people dance. We take dancing to a higher rank. With pen pound and with pen frank. Janaba new dance and a Jamaica and drunk. Yeah, on the river, on the bank. Kick out the shoes because you put them no cramp. When I step in the river, on the bank. Janaba new dance and a Jamaica and Bronx. Yeah, down the flank, we a go down the flank. Like a baller, we go down the flank. You're cheap, pretty young, get in your tank. But the new dance, you know where people can't do. Give them a run, give them a run. Give them a run, we are the girls that have done too. Give them a run, give them a run. Give them a run, we are the girls that have done. We love that before, yeah, but I've never seen a dance like this. I've been loved that before, yeah, but I don't wanna come top the list.
What's up, people? What is going on? That is correct. We are here to talk some Walking Dead, and I got Deej with me tonight. Deej, how you doing?
I'm doing good after watching today's episode. You'll have to catch up on that one.
Yes, I will. I haven't seen episode 4. I know you guys see episode 1 over there, but we're going to go through 1, 2, and 3 on this episode. And then next Tuesday, we'll do episode 4. It'll give me a chance to watch it and probably rewatch it again if it's really good. It's funny because when this show started, I was like, man, I need someone to talk Walking Dead with me. You know what I mean? It was Terrence that I was doing the last season of Walking Dead with. And I was like, who's going to do it? And then I seen you were watching it. And I was like, you know what? Let me reach out to Deej and let's do this Walking Dead, talk about this series. So thank you for joining me on this. I appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome. It's glad to actually be able to talk to somebody about it because most people I hang out with don't want to watch The Walking Dead because they got disillusioned with it from Walking Dead and Fear the Walking Dead and World Beyond. But this one's actually a dang good series.
I agree with you 100%. I never fell off of it. I enjoyed the seasons for what they were. I can understand why people had a little bit of issues after like season 5. But for me, once Negan came in, I don't know, man. I was just like, yo, I like Negan. You know what I mean? I liked his badass attitude. I liked that he broke Rick. You know what I mean? He had Nick crying and begging for his life. And I was like, yo, Negan is fire. So when they said they were doing this show, I was all in for it, man. Really and truly.
Well, he didn't break Daryl, though. He's been playing Easy Street over and over and over.
What up, DQ? Thanks for popping in. Yeah, Daryl, but it's Daryl's fault. Glenn died, though. You know what I mean?
Like, yeah, it was all Daryl. Daryl's blamed for it all.
Absolutely, 100%. You know what I mean? And he punched Negan in the face after Negan said, don't do that. And Negan kind of, showed him the deal. But we'll get into this show because it takes place after The Walking Dead is over. What are your initial thoughts on episode 1?
Episode 1 was probably the weakest of them all so far, but that was because they had to set up the entire plot on why Negan was going to be with Maggie.
And you know what's funny?
No,
go ahead.
Episode 1 did have my highlight of the episode with my least favorite character from Star Trek Picard.
Oh, right. Hey, that was badass too. You know what I mean? Because when I seen her in it, I was like, oh, she's in this show? And I thought she was going to be in it for a while.
Wrong.
That didn't happen. She was dead. And I was like, okay, now it's interesting, right? And it's funny because I think my favorite part in this episode 1 was that speech Negan gave on the boat, right? And I think that would be one of the reasons why I had a little bit of an issue with episode 1 is because if you guys watched like the last season of 11, it kind of seemed like Maggie was kind of like trusting Negan a little bit, right? And then in this one, it just seemed like she was flipped and like hated him already. But then I started thinking, and I'm like, yeah, if he killed my significant other, I probably wouldn't be as easy on him either, even though, you know what I mean? I would still kind of like hate him.
Well, that and the whole whistle part flooded her back with the memories of it.
Yeah, 100%. the Marshal Armstrong looks like a decent anti-Negan. Yeah, we're gonna get into him too, because I think he was a pretty good character too, right? And he's the one that killed the chick um, from Picard, right? And that scene was badass because he walked in there and you could see that they were all scared of him. You know what I mean? And he was like, "You're lying." And then when she finally told the truth, he was pretending like he was gonna let her go, and he said, "Nope," and fucking pushed her into the fucking zombies. I was like, "Okay, this guy's good," but the Croat, the bad guy, I think he's fire too. I really like him. What do you think?
Oh, the Croat is very interesting, and yeah, the way this is playing out in this series, I can't really go into it because you haven't watched episode 4 yet, but you're gonna have some Croat, more
Really?
backstory with Croat too.
Oh, we got some backstory with him too.
You're gonna see time at Sanctuary.
And they
Like
show him there too.
you see Croat, you see Lucille,
Oh, okay.
Negan, and then you see one other fan favorite from Sanctuary.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna watch that tonight. Um, what were your bad in this episode? In episode one, like what did you not like about the episode?
Basically, I kind of just didn't like the whole drug out part of Maggie coming to get him, then going backwards to take the kid
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to the remainder of Hilltop, which, when we get to that part, kind of remind me, it looked like they were at the Kingdom.
It did. It did remind me of the Kingdom too, as well. And I would have liked to have seen maybe some familiar faces. You know what I mean? We didn't see like no familiar faces in there. I'm pretty sure they could have got like somebody or threw in, you know, anybody from The Walking Dead, but it seemed like there was a bunch of new faces there. So that's interesting.
But
Um,
but they really don't explain how this new Babylon so far got started, and what their relationship is with everybody. Because this new Babylon just doesn't seem like a good, nice place to be. That if
Facts.
every little tiny infraction, they're severely punished.
Facts. And this guy was like, he was hunting because he wanted to kill Negan. It wasn't about bringing him to justice, right? He's like, yo, we're going to kill this guy because of what he did, you know? And it starts off, it's like, you see Negan and he's with this other girl who's not speaking. And I was like, what happened to Negan's wife? What happened to his kid? You know what I mean? Like, are we gonna find out that they were dead or something happened? And then we end up finding out in episode, I think it was
3.
episode three. Yeah, episode three, which we'll get into that a little bit later. But I was just like, huh, that's kind of interesting. And for me, the only thing, like I said, that I really was kind of not feeling was the fact that Maggie was treating Negan like he was the enemy again. But it also gave me one of my favorite moments on the boat where Negan was like, "Listen, I am not your enemy." You know what I mean? After all the shit that I've done, like I'm there, I'm with you, and I really enjoyed that speech from him. What about you? What did you like?
Well, Negan was actually right. They shouldn't have been dragging this deputy along with them
Facts.
because he's sitting there going to slow you down. You're going to be worried about him undermining you the entire time. And if the marshal catches up, that's just another person to help the marshal at some point.
100%. And I find that Maggie wasn't thinking properly at that point, right? But Negan, and as we know from The Walking Dead, he's always been pretty much a step ahead of everybody. You know what I mean? Even when he's going to go help Maggie, I think he in his mind has it, I still got to watch my back because no telling if Maggie is going to be on my side. She's going to try and, screw me over to save her son. So I can kind of understand Negan's apprehension, but you're right. Negan was absolutely right. There was no reason why this guy should be there. And then when they get to the island, they show that because he tried to bolt right away. You know what I mean? And Negan had to give him that little shoulder. Bam! Like, nah, where you going, guy? Like, it's crazy. Um, what else happened in episode one? it's hard because it was a few weeks ago that I watched it.
Well, they finally get to New York City and they see that basically ring around the rosy of the cities with walkers.
Mm. Oh, right. And what was good was the part where the walkers were fucking falling from the buildings and shit, like those raining walkers. I was like,
Yeah.
damn, that's
New
that's
added new added danger, falling
absolute
zombies from sky.
facts. And it's episode 1 where the Croat had the guy captured, right? And he was like, "No, I'm getting away." And he went up to the roof. And again, I don't understand why people always run up to a roof instead of running down. You know what I mean? But he ran up to the roof, and they had that little rope there, the zip line. And I was like, "Bro, like,
Well, in that
that's not even a good
situation,
idea."
I don't know. In this situation, as we find out, there's zip lines all over New York, and that's how they travel. So
Hmm.
the guy was probably thinking, to get to the roof, I can get away. He just didn't think, and what the Croat used to cut that cable shouldn't have worked. That thing was too dang small.
I
It
agree.
looked like little pruning shears that he cut a metal cable with. It made no sense whatsoever there.
I agree 100%. That's why I said to him, like, you kind of with that. But even still, like, I get it. You're trying to get away and stuff. But if he's on the roof and you're on the roof, you don't even attempt to make that because you just cut the
I
rope,
don't
you're
know
dead.
logically. What are you going to do? Go downward into hordes of zombies wandering around, or are you going to attempt to make the escape on a zip line?
Yeah, I get you. I feel you. I guess maybe because it's high up there and I'm like, I wouldn't say I'm scared of heights, but I would have looked at that and looked at him and then I'm like,
You're only
all
about
right.
20 stories up. That's all.
Yeah. And when he drops, Croat's like, "Oh, look, a new record." I was like, "Yeah, you fucker, bro. You are a Negan clone, and that's why I like him because he's a little bit more vicious than well, Negan was vicious, right? But there's certain things that Negan wouldn't do. Like he wouldn't harm kids. And we find out in this episode the reason why Negan kicked him out was because he tortured a kid. So I thought that was interesting. Um, we have the marshal who's been chasing Negan, and he gets to that little scene where they're all in that little room there, and Negan pretty much wiped out the dude, or the zombies came in and wiped out the dude, and Maggie and him had the fight, right? And then, oh, why didn't Maggie take his gun? I don't understand that. After she beat him and knocked him out, the gun was there, the rifle was there, and I think it was either Negan or her looked at it and just left it there. I would have picked that gun up one time, bro.
Like, yeah, extra firepower in your hand, or just to keep it away from him if he wakes up.
Absolutely, 100%. 100%. Um, so Negan ends up leaving the little girl with Maggie's group at Hilltop. And I believe it's episode 2 where she escapes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
she runs off to go find Negan.
I had an issue with that. I
I
had an
did
issue
too.
with that. I'm like, why do we have to bring the kid in there? You know what I mean? She's safe. I understand she wants to find Negan and make sure he's okay, but at the same time, like, what are you gonna do? You know what I mean? You're just gonna be there to have another obstacle that Negan is going to have to deal with.
Bad enough they're going to rescue one kid, and now you're throwing another mix of another kid into the whole situation.
100%. What would you have given your grade for episode 1?
My grade for episode 1 was an 8 out of 10.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I give it about. I'd say because I'm trying not to give it a high rating because you can't go any higher than that, right? And I'm pretty sure that, like you said, episode 4 is probably fire, which I'm probably gonna love, right? So I'm gonna give
Well,
it, let's
you'll love
say,
it, but it's still not quite as great as 3 just because of the Negan part in 3.
oh yeah, we'll get into that too. Because when that scene happened, I was like, yes, now we got some Negan over here, right? So
Yep.
I'll give episode 1. I'm gonna give it. I'll say give it a B plus. Right, like you said, there was a few issues with it. I think episode 2 was a lot better, which we'll get into now. And let's see what David Quintana said. Said Maggie needs to pick up the pace. Just Matt. New Babylon, aka Fall of Baby. Said Babylon here. Were they throwing body parts from the sky in the end? I don't know. They weren't throwing body parts. What happened was they made a noise, right? And the zombies, they're attracted to the noise. So I guess zombies were like in the buildings or whatever, and they were just falling out the buildings onto them. And that was crazy because I don't think we've ever seen anything really like that in The Walking Dead. So I was like, man, and the part where they went to go hide behind the garbage and there was all those cockroaches and Negan was like, hell no.
That just creeped me out there. No, I'm not staying there with like 50 million cockroaches crawling all over me. No.
Me neither. I would have did the same thing. Negan was like, oh, hell no. And took off. I was like, I'll take my chances with the zombies, right? NYC is one of the most populous cities in the U.S. Makes sense. They're crawling with walkers. Absolutely. And
especially after the government come and blew up all the bridges and tunnels.
Right. So that nobody could get out, right? And, I think it's a different dynamic than where they were before because they were more countryside in The Walking Dead, so you could avoid the zombies more. But when you're in a city like that, a big city, oh yeah, you're gonna have to deal with zombies like crazy. What up, Basil? How you doing, man? Thanks for popping in.
Flashback to Atlanta, first season with Rick on the horse.
Yeah, exactly, right. And they had to get out of the city. And usually they avoid big cities because it's probably filled with zombies. All right. Episode 2. Let me bring up the plot for episode 2 for you guys. And I'll just read it real quick. Anything you can think of from the first episode?
The other creepy part of the first episode was taking the boat over and how full the river was of zombies.
Yeah.
You couldn't put a paddle down without hitting one.
Facts, right? And it's a good thing that, zombies can't swim or else they would have been dead. So that's a good thing. Episode 2 is called Who's There? Basically an old woman named Esther helps Maggie and Negan escape from a herd and leads them to her tribe of survivors who are hunted by the Croat and his people, the Bazari. And we're going to get to the Bazari too because I think we haven't really seen anything about them yet. I don't know if they show anything in episode 4.
Not super much of them, just kind of the side plots for the whole Croat meeting.
Yeah, because I'm looking here now, and you're right, it is only 6 episodes, so that's kind of disappointing, but hopefully we get a season 2. But Negan reveals that the Croat was one of the very first saviors, serving as an interrogator for Negan until he went too far with a young survivor, causing Negan to try to kill him. However, Negan only succeeded in blowing off the Croat's right ear and he escaped. The tribe comes under attack from the Bazari, killing several people, including Esther, before they manage to escape. In relation, Negan brutally kills one of the Bazari as an example to the rest, something that is witnessed by Maggie after Maggie reveals their true mission to them. The tribe reveals that they can help her get the Croat elsewhere. Ginny struggles to adapt to a life at Hilltop, eventually stealing a motorcycle and running away. Pearl visits his brother Joel's apartment, only to find Joel dead of suicide. Falling into a trap inside, Pearl is captured by the Croat. So Perlie, I think that's the name, Pearl, something like that. That's the black guy. That's the marshal that's hunting Negan, right? So first we find out that the Croat, like you said, was a part of the survivors. And again, saviors, yeah. He did something, and Negan tried to kill him and blew off his ear. I liked that scene. I was like, hearing that, I was like, okay. And I think the fact that they actually put him as a part of the Saviors, I think that was really good. Your
Yep,
thoughts?
I do too. And you do find out in that episode that Negan had ordered the girl to be released and let go. It was the Croat that went too far in not letting her go. And
Hmm.
you'll see that there in episode 4 too.
Oh, that's cool. I can't wait for that. Right? And yeah, so episode 2 was the scene that I was kind of talking about where
Yep.
we we get that glimpse of Negan, right? After they come in there and they're
Knock,
fighting,
knock.
Negan grabs one of the guys, right? And he's like, I'm gonna make an example of this guy. So he walks up to like this balcony and there's some glass windows, and he takes his head and he's like, knock, knock, and he's breaking each glass with it. And then he stands over the railing and he's like, yo, if you guys continue to follow us, this is what's gonna happen. And he
Not going to
cuts
be a
open
rainy day. It's not going to be a thunderstorm.
facts. He cuts open his stomach and just pours
Now,
blood
first,
out.
first he slit his throat. Then
Yeah,
he cut
right.
open his stomach, and it was just showering down over all of them.
I was like, yo, that is fucking Negan. That's the Negan I wanted to see. You know what I mean? I was like, oh, that is so good. I love that scene. And then Maggie ends up seeing it. And I know it kind of brought her flashbacks to when Negan was the bad guy. But at the same time, I think she was like, maybe this is what we need, right? This is why
Well, there
I
was a
came to Negan.
there was a
Yeah, go ahead.
conversation between Maggie and Negan before that he said he only did stuff to
Mm-hmm.
show how he would protect his group and who he was with, and he took it that far to show them. And I think right then it clicked in her head that he's doing it to protect her now.
Absolutely. And we know that Maggie has done some fucked up things too, right? So it's like you got to understand sometimes you need that devil in you. You need that bad guy, especially in the times that they're in. And I think that's the reason why she actually went to Negan is because, this Croat guy took my son and I'm going to need someone who's going to be badass and not going to care, and going to basically go out and go all out. And that's what Negan did. And I
Well, that,
pretty
and she also knew that the Croat had originally been a savior because he used the Negan whistle before they had
whistle.
attacked Hilltop.
Right, exactly. And you know what's funny? Because I was like, man, I hope Maggie is not setting up Negan, right? Because in the back of my mind, I had this feeling like she was gonna get there and try to give Negan up for her son, right? So far we haven't seen anything like that, thank God, because I don't want her to do that. I want her and Negan, I guess, to have a good relationship, like for it to build up to the point where she can trust Negan. But at the same time, Negan killed her fucking baby father,
And we thought we had that at the end of season 11, and you kind of froze
Uh-huh.
up there.
Oh, yeah, no, I just put on my
Oh,
camera
okay.
here.
You see, that just spazzes me out there. He went all white on me. Damn it. But
I had
yeah,
to put
we thought she said at the end of season 11 that she could never forgive him,
on.
but she could tolerate him being around at that point because he was redeeming himself and being so useful.
He
And then
saved Hershel,
yeah.
right? He saved Hershel in that series. You know what I mean? In season 11. So I'm like, okay, that's why I was like, maybe, like you said, she can kind of. But again, if I'm not mistaken, I think this series is 5 years after season 11. They said
Yeah.
something like that, right?
It might
So
have clicked in her head when she heard that whistle also that maybe Negan had started over and took up his old ways.
yeah, could have been too, right? And then I guess when she found out it wasn't Negan, it's like, well, the only person that knew him better is you, you know? So I thought it was a great episode too. I thought episode 2, the marshal, he goes to see his brother, like it says in the plot, and his brother is dead. At first, I wasn't sure who it was because I don't think we got much explanation of it, but I figured
No,
it was someone. I
that
figured someone close to him.
that's what I assumed too. That it had to be his brother, especially after he finally pulled up the letter. And then,
Hmm.
okay, yeah, this has to be some sort of relative. Must be a brother that he hadn't seen or something. And he went to check on him. Yeah, you kind of got to assume, though, after all these years, he wasn't going to be there. And if he was,
He was gonna be dead, which he was.
at least he didn't find him as a zombie.
Yeah. So it seems like the brother took his own life. Maybe he got into a jam where no food, or he can't go out and hunt and look for things. His brother's not around, so he figured the best way would be to take his own life. And I had a feeling, or I have a feeling, that that marshal is going to end up on Negan's side.
You just wait till episode 4.
You see. Okay,
You,
so
you'll get something. I can't tell you, but
okay, good. So I think I'm on the right track with that. Because
well,
oh really?
well,
Not really? Okay,
at least not through episode 4. No.
okay. Shit, I gotta watch it. I knew I should have watched it before the stream. I knew it. I was like, maybe I'll watch it first. I got food. I started eating. I relaxed a bit, and I was like, you know what? I'll watch it after. But what you're telling me is making me hyped to watch it. You know what I mean? I'm like, yes, I gotta see it
Yeah, I'm
because
just dangling just enough to keep you going and wanting it.
yeah, absolutely. And you didn't need to do much because I'm enjoying the series.
No,
I
I am
really am.
too.
I think it's well done. I think it brings another dynamic, the fact that they're in the city. But again, the little girl thing is bothering me.
Yeah,
Like,
especially when you get to episode 3 and Maggie finds the little stuffed animal
yes.
dinosaur
And
that
then
the
doesn't
one,
tell,
yep,
and
doesn't
then
tell
doesn't
Negan,
tell Negan.
and
That's
she
where I
takes
was
it
like, yeah,
and she
go ahead.
takes it out to burn it.
Yeah. And that's where I was like, okay, maybe she has an ulterior motive. You know what I mean? Like, I find that they're keeping things from each other. You know what I mean? Like she's keeping some things, and well, I don't know if Negan's keeping anything else because he kind of breaks down what happens to him
Well,
and his
yeah,
family.
he's sort of keeping something there from what happens at the end of episode 3.
Oh, okay, yeah. I gotta remember episode 3. Well, we'll
And
get into episode 3.
there's where we get a second glimpse of the old Negan.
In episode 3, right?
In episode 3, we get another glimpse of old Negan.
Absolutely. And I hope that we get a lot more of the old Negan in this, right? I still want him to be good, but I want him to be ruthless. Like when it comes to the Croat and everything, I want him to be absolutely ruthless, not giving a fuck, and just be like, you know what? I'm going to take these guys out to help save Hershel. Um, I hope it's more than one season, man. I really do. I just don't see where you go after this. And
I
that's
don't see. I don't see where you go if they rescue Hershel, where they could possibly go with the series.
exactly.
I just don't see it.
And to drag it on to where maybe they don't save him and they do it in season 2, I think that'll be a little bit of an issue because I know a lot of people had a problem that I think it was season 6 or one of them that people said it dragged on too long. You know what I mean? So I hope they don't do that in this, but maybe they save Hershel and season 2 is about them trying to escape the city. Because I know I seen a trailer where the Croat is like they're not leaving this city. You know what I mean? So maybe
Yeah,
they save.
I think that's a lot in episode 5 because they were redoing that in the previews after the 4th episode.
Okay, so it'll be in 5, yeah. Because when you watch, I watched it on AMC Plus. You get the little insider stuff, and then they showed the first one. They showed clips of the whole season. I remember him saying that, right? So I'm just like, okay, so if that's the case, maybe you can save Hershel, but it ends with them being stuck in the city, and then season 2 is about how they try to escape the city. You know, it could be something like that. I don't know.
I'm leaning towards it's just 6 episodes though, and it's
Me
done
too.
because if he's saying they can't leave the city in episode 5, then episode 6 will be them escaping the city.
Yeah. I agree with you 100%.
But the
And
girl
also,
on how she got to the island was completely idiotic.
absolutely,
A,
100%.
a water cooler chest, really something you put beer in to keep cold, and she's gonna sit in that and paddle herself with a piece of wood across the river into New York City. Now that was dumb.
Absolutely, 100%. And when because she don't talk, right? So I can understand that, she may not be trusting, but when she gets to the city, that black woman finds her little dinosaur, picks it up, and she doesn't really say anything. Like there's someone there. Like zombies were chasing her at that point. You know what I mean? At that point, hey, hello, I'm here, a little help, but she doesn't say anything. And yeah, so I'm interesting to see how Negan finds her. That's what I'm curious to find out.
I
What
can't
else?
say anything. I can't say anything.
And anything else you didn't like in episode 2?
Episode 3. Not really. It's like I'm saying this is a dang good short season of Walking Dead.
Mm-hmm.
There's not much to complain about. It's just little nitpicks here and there of stupidity, but overall, the show is good.
I agree with you 100%. And I've been watching. Have you watched Fear the Walking Dead, like the final season now?
Yeah, I'm caught up to the mid season of that one. That one's kind of disappointing me.
Me too. I'm disappointed with it.
I mean, I got this whole expectation that maybe Morgan was going to eventually get the group back together and take them back to, because they showed us before the season started of him back in the original town where he met Rick.
Mm-hmm.
And they've already done that episode, and he went back out. I was like, okay, now that one's.
And
that kind of threw my whole theory out the window.
Right, and we had the mid-season finale, and it comes to find out that he's not going to be in the rest of the season. So I was just like, really? I was talking to Terrence, and he's like, no, he had a good arc. He's going back to find Rick, and I'm like, nah, I expected more. I even didn't like the way they portrayed him at the beginning of the season, where he was like trying to make sure his daughter stayed in Padre, and I'm like, no, I don't like what you're doing with Morgan. You know what I mean? So when I watched that and then I watched this, I'm like, yeah, this is way better. This is way better than that last season. And I've enjoyed Fear the Walking Dead since Morgan came on there, but I just found out this first half wasn't that good. It was kind of iffy to me. So now we get into season 3, and season 3 is called People Are a Resource. In flashback, Negan bonds with Ginny as they search for her missing toy in the present, Ginny makes her way to Manhattan, and the Croat holds Pearl prisoner in the revamped Madison Square Garden. Oh shit, I didn't even know they were in Madison Square Garden.
Yep.
Huh. That's cool.
It was kind of the opposite of the beginning of Fear the Walking Dead, because Fear, they put all the dead bodies inside a sports arena.
Mm-hmm.
And in this one, they're holed up in a sports arena, keeping all the zombies outside.
Yeah, to protect the outside so nobody can get in. That's interesting. So Madison Square Garden, where he tests Marshal's ability in a ring fight against walkers and questions his motive. So first, let's get into that, because that shit was fire, right? He takes the Marshal. First off, he's trying to feed the when he cuts his meat, and
There's the maggot.
The maggot was in there, and he's like, "Hey, you give me rotten meat?" I knew that guy. He was dead.
He knew he was toast.
Facts, right? So he takes
even though it probably wasn't even his fault. It was whoever cooked it, because he tried to say, "I was the one that was told to bring this to. Now, Croat's just like,
Hmm.
here, swallow his key to get out of his cuffs, and
Yep.
then smashed his head and threw him over.
Exactly. And I thought, um, well, when he first swallowed it, I thought he was gonna make him cut open his stomach right there and get the key, right? But like you said, he throws him over. But then he takes the marshal and he puts him in that ring and handcuffs him to this little pole. And then the zombies come in, and you see that zombie there, and the marshal, who I think is very resourceful, he's
Oh
fighting them
yeah,
off. He he grabs one, he chokes it so hard that it rips off his head. Now, I know they're zombies, but we all know that you can't do that like that, right? Like you just
it would have to
squeeze
be
the
one of the really. It'd have to be one of the really decayed one, not a fresh one.
yes, you're right. The zombie was too fresh for that. You know what I mean? So he sees the zombie with the key in his stomach. Um, what did he pull out? He goes to his boot and he's about to pull out something, and you can see like he says no, not that boot. Pulls out the other boot, and then he starts killing the zombies. He
With his
grabs
boot.
the yeah, right, with his boot. He takes off his boot, and then he sees the zombie with the key in his stomach, bashes his head open, and then opens up his stomach, takes the key out. And at that point, you can see the Croat was like, "Oh, this guy might be an asset to us." You know what I mean? So I like that. I like that the Croat kind of tested him in a way, but you could still see that. I don't know. I think he was kind of like, yeah, this guy's probably worse than Negan. You know what I mean? So he never told him any information until it got to the point where he had no choice and was like, "All right, I'm here for Negan." So that was interesting. All right, so where are we
Wait,
here?
wait,
Okay,
which was a little. This
go ahead.
this got me a little bit too because originally I thought the Croat had stolen Hershel to get Negan.
Yeah, me too.
But when the marshal said he was after Negan, the Croat was completely surprised that Negan had even showed up to the island.
Exactly. Um, yeah, I think we'll find out because, like I said, I think Maggie is holding back some stuff, so we'll probably get to see maybe the Croat going into Hilltop and taking Herschel or finding out why he actually did it. It's interesting. Um, Let me see. Episode 4, which came, is Everybody Wins a Prize. Episode 5 is called Stories We Tell Ourselves. And the last one is Dama Sumo. So maybe Stories We Tell Ourselves is probably going to give us a little bit of flashbacks as to what really happened and stuff like that. That'd be interesting. That'd be interesting.
I
So,
hope they at least show it.
yeah, me
But
too. 100%.
as we've noticed though, the old sets must be completely tore down because they're not showing any of the old settings,
Hmm.
except for the brief glimpse that we thought maybe was the kingdom, but they could have filmed that in any old rundown factory setting. So
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. That's why I think, um, like when I think it was Hilltop they showed, it didn't. Well, there wasn't Hilltop. They had to leave Hilltop, right? And they're
yep.
someplace else now. So you're right. I don't think they're going to be showing like, the old sets and stuff that we have. It'll probably be something new, which will be interesting to see. But yeah. So the martial abilities in a ring fight against walkers questions motive. Pearl eventually reveals that he's in Manhattan hunting for Negan, much to the Croat's shock, who in turn reveals that he lost his family to cannibals near the start of the apocalypse. The tribe's people tell Maggie and Negan that the Bazaari's operation, which they recognize as a twisted version of the Saviors, and using the story of Negan's defeat by the Milita, whatever, inspired the tribe's people to help them. Okay, yeah, right. So there's a part where they're explaining everything that's going on, right? And they're like, "How do you know this?" And he's like, "Cause Negan was like, that's what I would do." They kind of know that Negan was probably like the Croat back in the day. You know what I mean? And it was hard for them to trust Negan at first, which I completely understand. But at the same time, they realize that there's a bigger threat and they got to take down this bigger threat, which is the Croat. Like, seems like the Croat is running New Manhattan, right? Because we don't see really anybody else. We just see their group. So they're probably running Manhattan right now.
And it makes me wonder, did the Croat lose his family to Terminus?
Oh, that's a good question.
Because Terminus was the big cannibal area.
Yeah. Huh, interesting. Tommaso reveals that he had been captured and tortured, but he managed to escape using the old framework of Penn Station and the subway system, which can be used to get in. Okay, so now, and I think they say it, Negan says it in this episode, and I can't wait to watch it because I'm like, if you got out that way, what are the chances you're going to be able to get in the same way, especially if the Croat knows that's how you get out?
Well, not only that, but wouldn't you think the subway system would be crawling with walkers because there's so many entrances all over New York?
Absolutely. 100%. 100%. I don't think that was such a good plan, but we'll see what happens in this episode, in episode 4. But at the same time, I was like, yeah, that's no, there's got to be another way, man, because now that, and they don't know that the Croat knows that Negan is there, but I'm sure he's going to set up some kind of trap. That's what I would do.
Yeah.
Why is Negan here, right? He must know it's because he knows he has Hershel. He knows Maggie. He knows that Negan had an issue with them as well, right?
Well, yes and no. The Croat in his mind might be thinking that Negan's just coming there for him and has nothing to do with Maggie.
That's true, because he doesn't know that Negan turned good, right? By the time he left, Negan was still at war with them. Huh. Yeah, you're right. So maybe he don't know. That's why Negan is there. What's up, Loaded? How you doing? David said, plus a subway is probably where everyone went to hide. Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Especially when the bombing started to blow up all the bridges.
Facts. 100%. So there are probably a shitload of zombies down there. But hey, we'll see. I'll watch it after this episode to see what happens. And I'm going to message you after I'm done.
Yeah, because all these little questions you're asking right now are going to be answered.
You see? Good. So where were we here? Maggie opens up to Negan about the loss of Hershel and her family, and Negan in turn reveals he sent Annie and his son Joshua to safety in Missouri after killing 5 men who had robbed, beaten, and raped Annie in revenge, which is why he is a wanted man. Luther discovers Negan's wanted poster, leading to a fight in which Negan gives into his darkest instincts and kills Luther after finding Ginny's toy, and Maggie contemplates burning it, secretly observed by Ginny. Right. So that part with Negan and Luther, I was like, oh, Luther, don't do it, man. I'm like, don't do it, bro, because this is not going to end well for you, you know? And Luther was a big dude. But at the same time, I'm like, nah, this isn't going to end for you. Don't do it, man. And he did it. And
that's where we saw another the classic Negan, because
fire.
Negan is not going to just back down.
Absolutely, 100%. And the one thing I like, Loaded, we'll get you onto the one on Tuesday because we're not going to stay on too much longer for this one. So Tuesday night, hit me up because I know you like The Walking Dead as well. So you can come discuss episode 4 with us. But yeah, that's what I like, because as I said earlier, I like Negan being good, but I still like those little glimpses of him being that asshole like that will kill you in a heartbeat. You know what I mean? And it don't matter how big you are, Negan's gonna test you, and Negan put him down. Loved it. Anytime Negan goes full Negan, I am absolutely loving it. Trust me.
And I got a feeling
Like
we're going to see full Negan at least one more time before this ends.
I agree with you 100%. David Quintana said, probably not a good idea to go to a hospital during a zombie apocalypse. Absolutely not. Only saw one episode. You got to watch the rest of them, DQ. Really good. And Loaded said, bet. Cool. Um, so yeah, then we find out, like you said, Negan, Annie. I don't know if I really like that part because I'm like, wait a minute, they raped the girl, man. They raped Negan's wife. But then
And,
again, yeah, go
and
ahead.
and the fact that one of the five guys that did it was one of the upper echelon of New Babylon,
Yeah. hmm
which just gives me another thing on why the hell would anybody live there?
Yeah, it makes no sense, right? But again, at certain points, like I would say, why would anybody want it to be a savior too, right? Because Negan burned that dude's face with a fucking iron for fucking up. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I would want to stay with Negan either when he was doing his bad
Well,
shit.
Dwight got the hell out of there though and went off to join Morgan. So
Which was a smart thing to do, 100%. But for a while before he left, he was Team Negan, until because Negan, what Negan
well,
had like,
he was Team Negan until he could figure out how to get his wife out of there.
yeah, exactly. That's what I was gonna say, right? Because Negan had like four wives, and his wife was one of them. You know what I mean? So Negan was fucking this guy's wife, yeah. And then he ended up meeting up with Rick's team and Daryl, and that's when he was like, okay, I'm gonna help you guys take down Negan at that point. So he was smart to get out of there. Um, Hopefully, maybe we see some characters from Fear or what I mean, like something in the last episode or someone from Walking Dead or something like that, or maybe you see because if it's only 6 episodes and not making a season two, then you can maybe see Morgan meet up with them and be like, we got to find Rick, because it's all gonna lead to the Rick and Michonne show, which is coming up soon, which is I'm excited for that one too. The
Yeah,
Daryl one,
I
mm,
think it's going to go back to the rest of the season of Fear, and then we'll see the Daryl show,
yeah,
and then sometime maybe at the end of this year or the first part of next year is when we'll get the Rick and Michonne one.
yeah, exactly. Are you excited for the Daryl one though?
I'm actually kind of interested on this whole thing of Daryl over in France
Me too.
because if we go back to season one of The Walking Dead, it was the French that were holed out the longest in trying to
Yeah.
find the cure.
Absolutely. So it'll be interesting with that. And I think that's going to be more than one season, right? The Daryl show.
See, here again, I keep seeing things. One story will say it's one season. Another story will say that it might be more than just one season.
I guess it all depends on what the ratings do. You know what I mean? Like, even for this one, if the ratings are good, maybe they'll try and put another season together or whatever. Um, I
We'll have
personally,
Hershel get kidnapped again, and
and they got to go back to Manhattan to save him.
well, actually, they might go somewhere else. Maybe we'll go to Boston and see the Liberty Bell out on a bet.
That
No,
was
wait a minute. That was Z Nation. Never mind.
so, and then Maggie tells the story about how Herschel got caught, and I thought that was a good moment. I thought that they were like bonding, and then Maggie ruins it by saying, "Oh, I thought you said you knew how to shut up," and I was like, "Come
Now
on,
see,
Maggie."
I took that as a joke.
It could have been. It could
I
have
took
been.
I took that part as yeah, they were sort of bonding there, and she threw that out as a little joke to him.
Yeah, I'll put it at that. I hope it was a little joke too, because you can see that at least Negan he's opening up. You know what I mean? He's explaining. He's like, listen, and he's even trying to help her by saying, like, listen, if we don't have hope, what else is there? You know what I mean? Like, we need hope, and that's what he was trying to explain to her. So, I think,
Yeah, because everybody else is telling her that Hershel's dead.
yeah,
And
yeah.
Negan's the only one saying, no, he's alive. We're going to go get him. We're going to rescue him.
Yep. And that's the one thing I've always liked about Negan that they stayed consistent with, is that he's always had this thing for kids where it's like, we don't harm kids, we protect the kids. You know what I mean? He tried to protect Judith. He even like wanted to pretty much recruit Carl. You know what I mean? So
Oh
he
hell
had
yeah!
Carl
Because anybody else, if they would have had Carl shooting at him, they would have offed him.
killed him. Facts, 100%. But Negan kept saying he liked Carl, and even when Rick told Negan that Carl was dead, you could see Negan was like, "Shit, really?" Like he didn't like that, you know. And then Judith, the time when there's the snowstorm and Judith gets lost, Negan's the one that finds her. Um, in the final episode, Negan saves Hershel, and now Negan's trying to save Hershel again, and we find out he pretty much tried to kill the Croat because of what he did to a kid. So I like
Well,
that. I like
she
that.
wasn't technically a kid, more like, I don't know, early adult.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
You'll
Okay.
you'll see in episode 4.
Okay. Because they kind of called her a kid, so I figured maybe I didn't think too young. I thought maybe around Hershel's age, something like that.
She looks a little bit older from what I
Little,
see.
little bit older. Okay, cool. Yeah. So
But
I.
you know,
Mhm.
Negan, you can tell he loves kids when he makes them spaghetti.
Yes. Yeah. He went to Rick's house and made spaghetti and ate it with Carl and everything, and he even told Rick that he liked his kid. You know what I mean? He's like, "Yeah, I like your kid. You know, he's a badass." And I know a lot of people hated the fact that they killed Carl. I kind of did too, but at the same time, I also liked what they did with Judith in that series too, as well. So I didn't have a problem with it. But again, the kid in this episode, it's hopefully it gets better because, like you said, just the fact that she traveled there to Manhattan in that little fucking thing and with a piece of wood, and now she's like in the middle of like zombies everywhere. Just like they didn't need to put that in there, but I guess they can understand that they needed to do a little bit more with her. I guess make more stakes for Negan. I don't know, whatever. We'll see. We'll see. But
Negan
now,
didn't need any more stakes. He wants the Croat now for taking Hershel.
exactly.
And Negan wants to clean up a mess that he started because
Hmm.
he originally encouraged the Croat
Yeah, absolutely.
until it got
And
too far.
absolutely, and I'm curious to see when they meet up. I can't wait to see that. Like that is going to be fire.
Well, you don't see the actual. Well, yeah, you'll see the meetup of Negan and Croat.
Cool,
Yeah.
cool. All right, so we didn't give our grades for episode 2. So what are your grades for episode 2?
A minus for Well, no, A plus for episode 2, just because of Knock Knock.
Absolutely. And your grade for episode 3?
A minus.
I'm gonna give them both A pluses. I'll give them A pluses. Like you said, just the scene alone with Negan doing his Negan stuff, that just does it for me. You could have did anything else in the episode that would have been garbage, but you give me one of those scenes an episode, and I'm like, okay, I am safe. I am good with it. Danny always says,
I was
yeah, go ahead.
completely pumped after the Knock Knock scene. I was like, oh yeah, we're gonna
Me
get
too.
good now.
Yeah, me too, 100%. And Danny always says that I have this little man crush on Jonathan Majors, but I also have a man crush on Negan too, because I like Negan. Always have, always will. You know what I mean? I think he's a badass, and I hope they keep it that way. What are your predictions for the next couple of episodes? I know you're saying 4, so skip that one. What do you think going to happen in the last 2 episodes?
I think we're going to see a final confrontation between Negan and the Croat,
Mm-hmm.
which I think is going to really be interesting. We still have the side drama with Maggie and the other girl looking for Negan.
Yeah.
I really can't go into too much else because would be hitting spoilers on 4 for you, and you don't want them spoilers right now. You want to have the full rich episode there in front of you.
You are absolutely right. I do. Guys, we will be back Tuesday to review episode 4, right? Bring in Loaded because I know he likes The Walking Dead as well. So we will do that. Thank you all for watching. Deej, shout out your channel one last time, please.
I'm Deej Odyssey, and I just do random stuff. I also appear over with Chris Knight, Real Review 3000 for Chatbox and Name That Tune. And lately on my channel, you'll see zombies because I've been playing 7 Days to Die with some other YouTubers where we've all co-opted a server together and been playing together.
Nice. I heard you talking about that on your stream the other night, and I think it was LDG was like, he'll give you $100 to go and take a horde to their base or something like that.
Yeah, I wasn't going to do that. I'm not that big of a dick. I'm not going to go destroy their base.
Are you fighting against them, or are you guys allies?
No, actually, we had done a short bit before where we were all together, and they kept making fun of me because I kept telling them how the perfect horde base, and we had some demolition ones blow the damn thing up, and spent the rest of the night running around on the ground trying to avoid death. So they were like, well, maybe we should build our own bases. So I said, fine. I went off by myself and I built my own, and they've all co-opted together to try to defend themselves. And we had a horde night the other night, and I survived without a death, and 2 out of 3 people over on their side kind of got 8.
Oh, shit. Okay. So there's no reason for you to sabotage them. They'll probably die anyways without your help, right?
No, but I did. When one of them died yesterday during the play, I went over to the building they were at, and I built and hid his bicycle under a whole bunch of blocks, and he had to chop his way in to get his bike back.
Okay, so Deej can be a little bit of a dick. I get it.
Well, yeah. Another one went to AFK while he was standing in the closet, and I sealed him in the closet too. He had to chop his way out of the closet.
Okay, yeah. So you can be a little bit of a dick.
Nothing deadly. Nothing
Yeah.
that's going to hurt them. Just to annoy them.
I got you. I am Big Afford Entertainment. Thank you guys for watching in. Make sure to check it out. I'm not sure if there will be a tournament tomorrow. There may be. I'll see how I feel, when I get home from work. I'm a little bit tired tonight, to be honest with you. I almost passed out before the stream. So, and I seen Deej wrote, lucky I'm up. I feel you.
That was when you originally posted this, and it was scheduled for 7:30 a.m. in the morning.
You know what? It's funny because my girl was like, you got to stream at 7:30? And I was like, what are you talking about? No, I don't. And then I looked and I said, shit, I put it for the AM and not PM.
Yeah, and I had woke up at that point and checked, and I seen this going to go live in 45 minutes, and that's when I made the joke, lucky I'm awake at this time.
I got you. Next time I'll put the time in there correctly, so it'll be 8:30 on Tuesday night. Me and Deej will be back here for episode 4, and then we will be back the other Tuesdays to do 5 and 6. Thank you guys for popping in once again, and we'll see you on the next one. Peace out. Peace. Where are we? There.
Alright, real bad man, now we people guns. We take dancing to a higher rank. With pen pound and with pen frank. Jano new dance and Jamaica and Frank. Yes, on the river, on the bank. Kick out the shoes because you put them to camp. When you step in the river, on the bank. Jano new dance and Jamaica and Frank. Yeah, down the flank, we are go down the flank. Like a baller, we go down the flank. You're cheap, pretty young, get in your tank. But them new dance, you know where people can't pull. Give them a run, give them a run.